Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So last week I dropped the big bombshell that Andrew and I had consciously uncoupled. Thank you so much for all the love and support and understanding, Andrew, and I really appreciate it. So this week I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about our living arrangement and how we managed to navigate everything. As you guys know, we have spent the past 2 years, building our dream home. Everyone knows there's no such thing as a dream life or a dream family or a dream home because everyone has problems, everyone has issues. But for us, we'd spent 2 years building this dream home, and in my head, it was like, well, I don't have the dream family to go in the dream home, so what happens now? So we are still in the process of figuring out all of that, but Andrew and I decided when we decided to part ways as a couple that we were going to continue living together because it was what was right for the children. So lucky enough, we have enough bedrooms that he moved into one room, I stayed in here. One thing we didn't want to do was overload them all of a sudden, and they did know there were things going on. You know, they would say, "Mummy, Daddy, why are you fighting? We can hear you." And even though we weren't fighting per se, we were niggling at each other, you know, and you could hear it in the voices. And, you know, like I said, everyone in the whole of the pandemic was all just stuck together in the same room, you know, and you add in everything, all the other dynamics, and your voice, my voice, I'm not very good at hiding it, can become quite niggly sometimes. And, you know, I guess they could hear it in my voice, they heard it in Andrew's voice. We were just short with each other. We did get a counselor, a mediator, to help us through some of the trickier points on negotiating, you know, who was living where, how we were going to figure this all out. The one thing we kept doing is obviously reassuring each other that, you know, we loved each other, we were a family, we were strong, you know, keeping focused on the things that we were aligned on. So the things we weren't aligned on, you know, not to get too much delving into that bit, we focused on what we were aligned on, which was the children. Always baseline, family, children, what's right for them. So even though it wasn't comfortable, us both living together and going through a separation at the same time, we did it because we had that common denominator of the kids. And we really had to leave our egos at the door and be like, be high ourselves here, be the adults, we can do this. We decided to do this thing called bird nesting. So Andrew's away a lot during the week anyway, working, so obviously I'm with the children. And then we just did one weekend on, one weekend off. So on the weekends that I had off, I would go off and stay with friends or go and do things, and things that were nourishing for me and things that I needed to do for me. And then Andrew did the same thing on his weekends. It was a really big transition and really difficult for all the kids, especially Dylan, for me to leave the house. But we explained to the children that, you know, Mummy needed a bit of time off, and, you know, it was only every second weekend that this is what Mummy was going to do. They then started to obviously trust being with Andrew during the week, because obviously I've always been here. I'm the main caretaker for them as Andrew works really hard to support us. So it was a real challenging role also for Andrew to step in and be like, oh, what? Dinner, not just popcorn? So, okay, let's figure this out. So that's been really funny, interesting, but he's really stepped up to the plate, and the children are like, Dad's not so good at dinner. And I'm like, well, we had to teach him how to do this, okay? So we've been kind of teaching Andrew all the little things, and that's been quite funny. And finding the humor in things is important too. We still try and keep family days, so we try and keep Sunday night for us all to have dinner together, play games together. We have been on holiday with each other, which that is quite funny because we were in a bit of a tricky time when we went on holiday to the Dominican Republic recently, and as the universe should have it, we ended up on the plane and there was no televisions, all our devices died. We managed to get Dylan moved to a place where there was a television, and the two kids kind of fell asleep, and Andrew and I were like stuck on this plane. I think we may have wanted to throw each other off the plane halfway through the journey, but by the end of the plane journey we were like, no, it's okay, we can do this. We just keep talking through those difficult scenarios. It has been healing, as hard as it is, because we've really had to face each other and really be like, right, okay, I can't run, I can't hide from you. We have to get through this together, and we have, which has been good. So we did that for about 6 months of the bird nesting, in and out, before we mentioned anything else or breaking up or anything like that. So about 6 months in, I started talking to Dylan about, families, his friends separated, and, we did the same to Luca, and started talking about different families and how different families look and different family dynamics and all this kind of thing. And then I said to Dylan, how would you feel if daddy had another girlfriend or mummy had another boyfriend? How would you feel about that? And his answer just blew me away. He basically turned around and he said, well, mummy, it's your life and you need to be happy. And I guess it will change the future. It could be a bad thing, but I guess it could also be a good thing. And that answer just blew me away. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that was so profound. And when I tried to ask him more questions, he then switched off and didn't answer me. So he kind of like drops the bombshell and it's like words of wisdom and then nothing. So I'm sitting there going, oh, okay. So with Luca, we did the same thing, and it was funny because they didn't like the word divorce. There's so much negativity around that word divorce, and they are both aware of it. That they were like, but you're not going to get a divorce, right? You could be separated, but not have a divorce. And so I took that divorce word out of the situation and was like, Daddy and I just want to have maybe different partners. We're not going to be together as a romantic couple anymore, but we're still family. And if we have any boyfriends or girlfriends, they're going to be part of our family. And look, we can still get on, go on holidays, have Christmases and birthdays and all that kind of stuff together. And this is what Andrew and I plan. And again, we are incredibly lucky that Andrew is doing his own work with a psychotherapist. I'm doing my own work. We're working on ourselves individually, the two spinning plates in this, and then we're working together as a family. So, we are very grateful that we have that. And then the next 6 months, it was like, well, okay, so, we might look at getting another house. How do you feel about that? This probably wasn't a good idea to do because I think I was putting too much pressure on the kids. I think I wanted them to be so feeling involved that I forgot they were children, and having that responsibility was too great for them. So we decided that wasn't the best thing to do. And so Andrew has just bought an apartment and he'll be moving out in the next couple of weeks, which again is going to be a bit of a different scenario for them. But, we are planning on, I'm going to help Andrew move in. I'm going to make it look all nice, make it all look homey. The first night, I'm going to stay there with them all and we'll play family games. And the way I explain it to them, which is the truth, this is our family home and that's our family apartment. And, maybe Dylan just thinks it's like Monopoly. He just thinks we're just gaining houses. And every time you stop at one, you get money for it or something. Dylan loves to put everything together with a game or Monopoly or computers or whatever. So this really helped him understand that as well. Yeah, so that seems to be working so far. It's not daddy's home and mummy's home. For us anyway, it's easier. It might be different for you guys, and sometimes it's easier for kids to understand that that's daddy's home and mummy's home, but for us, we're doing it very gently. We're spending individual time with the children, making sure all their needs are met. Andrew's been able to take the boys to Ireland, and I had time with Naya, and Andrew will then take off Dylan for a special night or Luca for a special night. Naya is going through a bit of a tricky stage because she doesn't quite understand. She's only 4, so we're really spending a lot of time kind of nurturing her at the moment, and she doesn't seem to really understand the whole separation thing, but she knows that daddy's not there and mummy's not there. So we haven't been able, I don't do FaceTimes or anything when I'm away from them because she finds that difficult. The boys I can text, and it's the same thing, they can text their dad when he's away, whereas Naya's still just that little bit too young for all of that. But she's doing well and we're navigating it, and I'll probably look at getting her sort of art therapy because she loves drawing. The boys have had a play therapist for a couple of years now anyway, but we've kind of upped their sessions to kind of protect that little space for them, their own space to talk. And their play therapist Rachel is incredible and they feel really safe with her, and that's their safe time. But yeah, it's important to explain to children that families come in different shapes and sizes, and that it's good to embrace all this. So that's how we've been managing the whole living arrangement. Living together has been the best way forward for us personally, because we've been allowing each other that space, but also coming together as a family, and for the kids, keeping them in a family environment. So I think it's really important that everything doesn't happen so quickly, like mummy and daddy are separated, he's living here, you're living there. That's really difficult. And I think it's also important, if there are new partners involved, is not to introduce them straight away, because that is just so complicated. It's like, wait, hang on, you guys are separated, now you've got someone else and you've got someone else. Like, wait a good 3 to 6 months before introducing anyone new. Keeping that kid's routine is really important, and do it slowly, even though at times you're like, I get me out of here, rip the plaster off. But the repercussions of that can sometimes be huge. And obviously, I mean, you know, it goes without saying, you never ever put that other person down in front of the children. You know, I read a really kind of powerful statement, and I read it from an adult point of view who was a child of divorced parents, and they were like, every time they said your father or your mother, it made them feel responsible for that other person. And the other thing I read was that, you know, if you say anything negative about that other person, the father or the mother, you're basically saying negative to that child, because that child is half that other person. So if you attack the other person, you're attacking your child. So it's really important to always, you know, have positivity, even if you're having the worst day, you know. And I'm always saying how much I love your daddy, and I love, you know, him, and he's great, and we're so thankful for what he does. And gratitude is important too, you know, really expressing gratitude and making the children, you know, practice gratitude for their lives as well. Like, you know, we have our health, we have this, we have that, we have, you know, we have so much to be happy and grateful for, because it's easy for children and for anyone to get stuck on a negative loop cycle, me included. You know, I need to get off sometimes that negative loop cycle of, you know, I think for me it was the loss, like, oh my gosh, I'm losing something, and I'm losing him, and I'm losing this family. And instead of saying I'm losing it and being like, okay, I'm gaining, you know, we're still here, he's still there. And I know this is not always easy. I know that every relationship is different. I'm very lucky that Andrew is on the same page as me in this respect. I know a lot of partners are not, and then that is incredibly difficult. And I think in those moments, I think what's really important is to reach out to wider families. And also, if you can't verbalize what you want to say, perhaps write a note or a letter. Start the letter off with, I am so grateful for, you know, the time that we've spent together. I'm grateful for the children that we have. You know, however, there are things that I feel, you know, don't make it about them, make it about you. Like, I feel that this is not right. I feel a bit this, I feel a bit that, whatever your issues are, and try and write it out and present it that way. If you're still met with haste, because the problem is when you're going through separation, you forget the reasons why you fell in love with that person in the first place, and then you're just at loggerheads, and that person's at loggerheads. But if you go at someone with, and I'm guilty of this too, if I go at someone with, you know, they're going to come back at me with the same thing. Whereas if you can calm yourself down, and like I said, sometimes I'm not very good at talking. I know it's hard to believe, but I sometimes text Andrew to express how I feel, because I get tongue-tied and I say words wrong and I say words backwards, as you know. I'm dyslexic, so it happens. But sometimes, you know, I write him a text message, and I always start with love instead of, you've done this, you've done that, da 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 da. No, pull it back, and also take ownership for your part as well. It's never just they're wrong or you're wrong. It's both of you. And sometimes it's not even what's wrong. It's just that just wasn't meant to be. And we grow and learn as humans, and we either grow together or we grow apart. So yeah, I think it's important to try and keep that communication open. If you're still met with haste and they will still not talk to you or communicate with you in any means possible, you know, it's up to you to take the high road and to try and do what's right. And I know it's very draining. I have a friend who's going through it, and it's so hard for her, but every time she is just like, gives out love, no matter what stuff and SH1T gets thrown at her, she's just like, it's okay. And we allow each other to cry when we're with each other. We're like, yeah, you can cry, you scream, shout, and then you kind of center yourself back for your kids again. And also really important to take this time for yourself. And as my family keep reminding me, put your own oxygen mask on before you tend to the needs of the kids, because I think, like last year, I just got to a stage where I was so tired I wasn't eating dinner, and I was like, wine. Oh, can I drink a glass of wine? That's basically, you know, fermented grapes. That's fine, isn't it? And I wasn't exercising, I wasn't working out, wasn't taking time for myself, because there didn't seem to be enough hours in the day to do anything. But of course there are. It's just about carving that time out. And maybe that carving time out is going for a nap. Maybe that's what you need. I did. Like when Dylan was at school, I was like, I just need to just take 20 minutes because I don't want to think anymore. Music is incredibly healing. I've used music a lot. When I'm in a funk, put the music on, dance around, dance with the kids. So that's been really good as well. And each of the kids have their own playlist. So whenever they want to put their favorite song on, they put it on, and yeah, it's been great for them. Anyway, I hope that has helped a little bit if you're going through something similar. I'm sending you a big hug and sending love. You know, if you have any questions or you want to reach out to me or you're going through something similar, you can always write to me below, or you can get me on Instagram. I'm on there, I'll put my link below as well. And next week I will talk more about navigating the new normal and moving house, selling house, all that kind of other stuff as well. But yeah, anyway guys, have a great week and I will see you soon.
This is the goodbye song. Goodbye to the forest. Goodbye to the trees. Goodbye to the rabbits, the birds and the bees. Thank you for the fresh air. Thank you for the peace. See you again under the trees.